Ladies and gentlemen, it is high, it is far, it is Sunday, August the 30th. The next to last day in August, it's almost September, folks. It's 10:01 a.m. on the East Coast, and it's cutdown day. Cutdown day in the NFL. Trades are happening, cuts are going on, waivers, cuts, termination of contracts. Things are happening. It's all happening. And we got a lot to talk about. It's also week 0 of the college football season, so we had some games yesterday, so some things to talk about there. We got a lot to talk about, and we will. This is Coffee with Frankie. This is the coffee. I'm the Frankie. Let me know if you can hear me okay in the chat. We got a chat over here. We got Flatbush Dre over here. He wants to get a good backup quarterback and a reliable kicker. Got to ask Santa Claus. Santa, may we have a reliable backup and a kickster? We need a kickster in this house. You got to ask Santa Claus. Maybe he'll provide. Flatbush Dre says, get some other players. Also, I mean, how many things do you want, Flatbush Dre? Let's be reasonable. Jets Chaos is over here. We all know what that's about. This over here. Deuteronomy says, the book of Deuteronomy declares, it's Sunday morning. It's Frankie. No coffee for me this morning. Having some Thai tea. That's not American. You got to have coffee. So delicious. So nutritious. I've been saying it, but we need a real backup quarterback. Everybody's been saying it, dudes. Need Mougey magic. Yeah, let's see what Mougey is able to pull off, if anything. As of right now, they haven't really done anything significant. They've cut about 4 or 5 people that you would expect to be cut. Some will be brought back to the practice squad. Some will not. But as of right now, no trades for the Jetsies and nothing really big in the news department. But we will keep an eye on it because there's a lot going on. Deuteronomy says, also got to get another kicker in here. So Deuteronomy decides to say the obvious today. All right, Dodes, listen, you're a New Paltz legend. We get it. We all know what the needs are, my friend. Yeah, we all agreed. Even Phil Adams right here saying, hey, we all agreed. Vet QB2, Kickster. Well, we understand. Boss Girl starts talking about her alarm. And she says she really needs the coffee part of Coffee with Frankie. Well, the good news is caffeination is easy in these United States. Caffeination is easy. Something is hard. Deuteronomy says AV 100% check. James Thompson is here, everybody. The great James Thompson, everybody. Let's hear it for him. All right, James. He says, good morning. Party with Peg and Artie. Hey. These people are partying 24/7. They got nothing else to do but party with Peg and Artie. You don't want to have a party with just Peg. And you don't want to have a party with just Artie alone. Like that's, it's not what you want. What you want is the party with Peg and Artie. You want them both simultaneous. You know? You don't want to have one. You want to have both. Somebody says you want to have a party with Peg, or do you want to have a party with Artie? You say, I want both. Give me both. El Duo. That's what we want. Well, here's breaking news from Jordan Schultz, the Schultz Report. Sources: the Miami Dolphins are releasing linebacker Tyrell Dodson. Dodson recorded 129 tackles, 5 sacks, and 1 interception last season with Miami. Well, there could be a target right there for the Jetsies. I'm not sure what the Dolphins are doing exactly. They traded yesterday Quinn Ewers for no reason. Backup quarterback. I thought he did. I mean, he wasn't good when he got in there last year, but, young kid. What are you trading him for? And now they're releasing Tyrell Dodson. Well, I guess they just want to play the draft picks that they made last year, I guess. And I guess nobody wanted to trade for Tyrell, but that might be a good pickup for us. Maybe. Sources: Jordan Schultz, the Bills are releasing veteran safety Geno Stone today. Stone, there could be a pickup for the Jetsies. Stone signed with Buffalo this offseason, has 14 career picks, 21 PBUs. Not to mention, he's the only other player in the NFL with the name of Geno. We could dominate the Genos. Got to think about that one. All right, so Geno Stone, Tyrell Dodson, yay. Maybe some roster pickups for the old Jetsies. So maybe Mougey's patience will pay off. Let's see. Obviously, no one wanted to trade for these players, so there can't be that much demand. But it's a lot different when you can just pick them up for just money as opposed to giving up draft capital. So we shall see. Lots of people getting cut and so forth today. Sajeti's here. Mark Sajeti says, good morning. The Dodester says, Zappy got zapped. This ain't no zapping stance. Remember who said this ain't no zapping stance? That's what I said on X yesterday, quoting the wise one. The wise one. This ain't no zapping stance, man. Phil Adams back to the Marx Brothers for Zappy. Hey, look, the Ass Man is here. Happy Sunday to the Ass Man. Eh? First of all, Phil, you got to stop calling him Clubby. Nobody in America calls Klubnik Clubby. You're the only one, Phil. Klubnik having a poor game, the much-needed reality check for Jets fans getting carried away with the hype. Maybe. But, I mean, trying to fix a Jet fan emotions is like trying to cage the wind. You're not going to get it done, Who knows? But certainly after that game, a lot of the fans are, less excited about him. He played pretty poorly. So that's not good. Meanwhile, you have a kid down in Tampa Bay. This Jalen Daniels comes out of nowhere. Kansas, what is this? And undrafted, nobody thought he was anything. He comes in, plays blockbusters, lights out. Now he's the backup to Baker Mayfield. These teams, they just find these guys. It's crazy. We can never get lucky with this stuff. But he did look good against us, I will say. Not that that's indicative of much, but still, I was like, oh, this guy's got a little something. Duncan Lloyd is here. He says he's got that football feeling. Well, football's being played, especially college football, yesterday. So the party people are saying this one is sleeping over here, floating on a float in the pool. No party today. I don't understand any of this. If your username is party with Peg and Artie, that means you need to be partying 24/7. No nonstop. That's your name. That's what you've identified with. There's no floating in the pool with Peg and Artie, taking a nap with Peg and sometimes Artie. Like, that's not the username. What are you doing? Party 24/7. Remember the Eddie Murphy song? Yes, Eddie Murphy had a song some of you may remember. And it was called Party All the Time. He was telling you to party all the time. Eddie Murphy, yes, the comedian, the actor, also singer. It's amazing what these people can do with a brand. But nonetheless, that's what he was trying to tell you. And then Peg and Artie tried to live out that ethos. They come around and they say, listen, we're going to be a username of Party with Peg and Artie. And then you find out one is sleeping over here and this one's in a flotation device over there. This world is crazy. It's crazy. I tell you. The Bucks are releasing Jake Browning. So there's a guy that we may want to take a look at. Is he great? No. But they are releasing Jake Browning. That was someone I said was on the bubble. And we might want to take a look. He was a longtime backup of course, Mr. Joe Burrow up in Cincinnati. So not that he's great. He's not. But these guys who are getting released are not going to be great. That's the whole point. They're getting released. Question is he better than Brady Cook, and is he worth a roster spot? So Jake Browning might be an option that old Mougey and AG take a look at. Phil Adams says the Finns are marching for Arch. Yeah, but if all they're doing is tanking and they're just getting rid of people to tank, that can get ugly very fast. How are you going to develop Malik? So Malik Willis is just a battering ram. He's just going to commit. He's going to have career suicide in Miami. That's it. I guess they're just, look, we're playing young guys. We're getting rid of all the veterans and we're just clearing the deck. Young guys get experience and wins be damned. I mean, they had a quote yesterday where it was either Halfley or, it must have been Halfley, said, this year's not so much about wins. I guess that does tell you what they're doing. Well, nonetheless, anybody we can pick up of value that could help us, we should look into it. So Dodson's one of those guys. I mean, for the role we need him to play, might be worth it. Whereas other people are looking at it going, no, we're good with our linebacker core. We don't need a guy like this. But we just need a third linebacker. So it might be a good match. We'll have to see. Plus, we do have one of their old defensive coaches, old Slowick. So he might have some kind of relationship with Slowick. So that might be good. I don't know. We'll see. But lots of intriguing things going on today. And we'll keep our eye on the noose. Yeah, Browning being released. That's what everybody's reporting now. Jake Browning, he's a veteran backup. Not very good. But then again, we're talking about QB2s, QB3s over here. Boss Girl, do you think McCrary Ball's performance makes them feel better about linebacker depth? Probably not, no. McCrary Ball didn't perform particularly well. What are you talking about? First of all, so he caught a tipped ball interception. That's not impressive. And then secondly, on the punch out, that's nice that he had a punch out. It's a good thing to do. But the reason he had to punch the ball out is because he fucked up in coverage. That's not good. And if you look at some of this, I mean, it's interesting. If you look at his PFF grades for defense, he had a great game 1, 96 grade, very high. Then his grade in the second game was 78. Then his grade in the third game, which is the one we're talking about here, 63.7, which is average, which is kind of what I saw with my eyes. But overall, how does that grade out to a 91.4? Exactly. Especially because the majority of the most snaps he got was in the game that he played the worst, which was the last game. So these grades are weird by PFF. I tell you that every time. We look at them because it's hard to know how every single goddamn player in the fucking NFL plays. There's 10,000 of these people. So you use a shorthand like PFF and you figure, all right, let's see how this guy played. But his grades for the 3 games were 96.4, 78, and 63.7. And somehow in the PFF system, that all averages out to 91.4. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And if you watch him on the field, he certainly didn't play to a 91.4 grade under any circumstances over the 3 games. So I would say no. Yes, it's nice that he caught a tipped pass. Yes, it's nice that he did a peanut punch. But it's much more important that you get your mentals on point, and not knowing where to go in a zone coverage defense as a linebacker is way more important than anything else as far as luck goes for punching a ball out and catching a tip pass. You have to know what you're doing. We need smart people here, not people with gigantic veins on their arms and gigantic muscles. You got to be strong too, don't get me wrong. But the most important thing these days is the old noggin. You need football intelligence. And as a linebacker, when you're in coverage, you need to know where to be. And on that particular play where he had the peanut punch, it was his fault that the guy was wide open because he left his zone and a couple of veterans burned us, as they should have. You see a wide open spot, you go there, the quarterback throws it, bada bing, bada boom. Well, it's easy. So we can't be having mental errors. Now, I don't know if Tyrell Dodson is some kind of linebacking genius. I don't know. But Slowick will know, but that's the sort of thing that we need. As far as right now, Marcelino, McCrary, Ball, and Michael Walker are in the same place they've always been, which is special teamers. And if they come in, that's not so good. But then again, that's why we need a third linebacker, because Kiko Mauinoa hasn't been great either. And Michael Walker has been injured. So that's why a Dodson is appealing. So I guess the short answer to your question, Boss Girl, is no. That was the long answer. Breaking news from Jeremy Fowler as of 1 minute ago. The Jaguars, after acquiring Quinn Ewers from the Miami Dolphinians, are waiving quarterback Joey Aguilar with hopes of him returning to the practice squad per source. So Joey Aguilar, is he a target for the Jets? No. Nope. So there's another quarterback that's hitting the bricks, but he's going to be on their practice squad. He's not right for us. Jake Browning is somebody to consider for sure. Joey Aguilar, I would say no. Breaking as of 16 seconds ago. According to a league source, the Bills plan to waive wide receiver Steven Gosnell. Never heard of him. As of 1 minute ago, Jeremy Fowler, Patriots waiving defensive tackle Eric Gregory. Sorry, Mr. Gregory. Never heard of you. No news on the Jet front as of now, but as you can see, lots of breaking news in the NFL. My girl wants to. Yeah, but wasn't the song called Party All the Time? And it also goes nicely with the Cyndi Lauper song, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I thought that was interesting advice. But isn't crashing inherent with partying? I don't know if you're... All right, breaking news. The Jaguars are trading tight end Hunter Long to the Cardinals. All right, that's not big news. So the Dolphins reporters are saying the reason they're releasing Tyrell Dodson is it's Jacob Rodriguez time in Miami. I still don't understand why you can't keep good players around as backups, though. But again, I guess. The second-round pick missed some time last week about an injury, but has been otherwise been a standout in camp. Dolphins were very excited to get him when they did. Future Green Dot guy. So, J-Rod time in Miami. Veteran Dodson, get out of here. All right. The Dolphins are pretty much going to be, barring some craziness, the worst team in the NFL. I don't think there's much doubt about that. Jaguars trading Hunter Long to the Cardinals. So lots of these little minor trades, but old trader Darren has not gotten into the act just yet. So we'll see what he's got cooking up. The Jets really have just cut 4 people, including Bailey Zappi. And Zappiness is a warm gun, but Zappi's not going to be too happy today. They played like dog doo-doo. Canine feces. So there's all that. Jervon Dexter got traded to the Falcons from the Bears. 49ers are releasing quarterback Adrian Martinez. The A-Mart package is on the market. Some people are speculating that it's Tanner McKee that's going to get released. That could be a situation that we look into. Not that he's great, but again, these people getting released aren't great. The Steelers traded Broderick Jones to the Cowboys yesterday, in case you missed it. Good trade for the Steelers, I thought. Broderick Jones had fallen quite far from his round one heights. But he's going to the Cowboys, where he's going to be a swing tackle. And so the Cowboys had a need. They give the Steelers some picks. Picks go back and forth. And so Broderick Jones, first round failure for the Steelers. Jaguars have released linebacker 2023 fifth round pick Yasir Abdullah. Never heard of him. Never heard of him. Jeremy's in the chat, and he said, AG said something that gives me the vibe that we were looking to scoop up a veteran QB, but I'm not sure that means they become QB2. That depends on the situation. Yeah. Phil Adams said, chemtrails dropped in the inbox this morning. Everybody signed up? Yeah, you should be signed up. Exactly, Phil Adams. This is what it looks like. This is chemtrails right here. Frankie from flatbush.substack.com. And yes, you should subscribe. It's some of the best writing out there. Some of these people are trying to catch up to old Frankie. If you look, preseason fizzle out, talk about stock up and stock down. Stock down, Cade Klubnik. Stock up, Nate Lynn, Sticky Stiggers, Steve Andre Sweat, Chase Wilson. But then we talk about some roster needs. So everybody's talking about the quarterback and the kicker, and you may not know who's available. Well, we break it down right here. And we say, here's the people battling, to make rosters around the league. The Giants. So the Giants said, well, Dominic Zavada won the job. So Ben Sauls is going to be available. So that's one option. And he was 100% last year in limited duty. Then the Colts have a competition going on, and it looks like Blake Grupe's going to win it, but Spencer Schrader, who also was a Jet at one point, has done well as well, and in his career, he's only missed one kick, limited duty. And then the Saints have some guys, and then maybe the most prominent and interesting is the Raiders. They got Matt Gay, and they have Kensei Matsuzawa. And you may say, who is Kensei Matsuzawa? Well, he's a rookie, and he's known as the Tokyo Toe. He's an international pathway player from Japan, one of the great countries, one of my favorites, Japan. Great culture, great people, amazing history. Anyways, and now they have this kid, Kensei Matsuzawa. And reports out of Vegas are that Gay won the job. but they would like to keep. But Matsuzawa did so good, they want to keep him on the P squad as an international player. But if he goes on the wire, then that could be someone we scoop up, the Tokyo Toe. So there's some. I mean, certainly, I would think one of Ben Sauls, Spencer Schrader, or Kensei Matsuzawa are going to be Jets by Tuesday. I would have to think, unless there's some surprise people around, But and all three of those are decent options. Most likely, probably Spencer Schrader. If I had to rank them, probably Schrader. Then it depends if you want to take your chance with a rookie out of Japan for a, for the Jets. It's just like, at least Ben Sauls has kicked in games, the Giants guy. So I don't know. It depends on if they really want to roll the dice on a Japanese rookie. But it's probably going to be Schrader, Spencer Schrader, or Ben Sauls. And then when you're talking about backup quarterbacks, we list them out here. Tell you who could be part of the mix, and what their little log line about what they're about. Whether it's Tanner McKee or Aiden O'Connell or Dylan Gabriel, Sam Ellinger, Josh Johnson, Kyle McCord, J.J. McCarthy, Joe Fagnano, Will Levis, Joe Milton, Sam Howell, and or maybe even Mason Rudolph, Drew Aller, Will Howard. But, the guy we would want, the guys who played really good are these two, Milton and Howell. But now the Cowboys are saying, well, we're just going to keep them both. They played so well. They're so good. We're keeping them both behind Dak. All right. Jeez. Those would be, if we could get one of those, that would be optimal, but it doesn't look like that's possible. So we're probably going to have to settle for someone like Dylan Gabriel, Andy Dalton, Will Levis, and if we want to go big game hunting, J.J. McCarthy, but that's an interesting one. We'll put it that way. So we went through all of this on Frankie from Flatbush. Comes out usually 7 a.m. Sunday morning. So if you like a little Sunday morning read from old Frankie, it's free. Check it out. FrankieFromFlatbush.substack.com. Phil Adams is enjoying it. And if Phil Adams is enjoying it, you probably will too. So interesting stuff that I take a look at. So Jeremy says, I used to hang out with Cyndi Lauper at the dog park about 11 years ago on the Upper West Side. Well, was that your real life, Jeremy, or were you just in delusions? Adams 778 says, did we release anyone new today? Where's the releases at? Where them releases at? Says Adams. Breaking news as of 4 minutes ago, the Dolphins are releasing veteran defensive back Lonnie Johnson Jr. I don't know anything about Lonnie Johnson Jr., but he's being released. Dolphins are also releasing cornerback Marco Wilson. Boy, anybody who's a veteran just getting released by the Dolphins. They are really going with their kids. The march for Arch indeed. What if Arch goes back to school? Lots of trades. Yeah, lots of minor trades going on. So the answer to Adam's question, we release anyone? What about them releases at? Not yet. Not yet. We're following it. We're following it live. Mitt Flair is here. He says, woo. Yeah. Yeah. Jets Chaos says, Frankie just inspired my latest X post. Yeah, you should follow both me and Jeremy on X. Jeremy said, breaking as of 2 minutes ago. Jeremy says, looking to see if kicker Spencer Schrader shakes loose from the Colts today. That would be solid. Obviously, he got that from me. And he would have got it even quicker if he was subscribed to Chemtrails. But he's not. So, Look, if you want the best information delivered right to your inbox, subscribe. It's free. What are you doing? Get some free, great writings in your inbox every Sunday morning. What could be better? And yet, so many of you won't sign up. Then you could steal it. You could have stolen this hours ago, Jeremy. Instead, you're stealing it now. So that's what's going on with that. The Jet beat writers are quiet. Rich Cimini's putting out some tepid information. Looks like Rich Cimini's stealing from my column as well, because he basically listed all the people I did. I didn't list Jake Browning. That's another option. We talked about that. But yeah, there's the Jet beat reporters are pretty quiet at the moment. So, Mougey's working the phones. That's what's going on. We got until 6 p.m. tonight to make everything official. So I'm pretty sure Mougey is just working the phones, trying to see what he can do before you release anybody for nothing. And also, is there anybody we need to add? So the deadline is tonight at 6. You may not hear anything, until tonight. And so that's true. And Jeremy says, no, it's true. Well, how would you know it's true if your brain was diluted in some sort of drug-infested delirium? Maybe it was a dream, Jeremy. You ever think of that? What if you're dreaming right now? This might be a dream. She is a dog person. Well, I will say this about Cyndi Lauper. One other thing. I mean, girls just want to have fun. Great pop song, But also, if you go back and listen to We Are the World. Remember that song? We are the world. We are the children. So there's basically two things that stand out, and Boss Girl's going to have to close her ears on this one. But Bruce Springsteen is laughably terrible singing that song. But then Cyndi Lauper comes on and kills it. Brings the juice. Go watch the video for that song. Everybody's like da 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 da, and then Cyndi Lauper comes on and blows the roof off the dump. So you gotta love that. You gotta love Cyndi Lauper. You gotta love a little Cyndi Lauper. How do I sign up? Go to frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. You'll see a subscribe button somewhere. They usually put it right in your face. But just look for the subscribe button. You put in your email, and then it tells you, do you want to pay any money? You just say, no, I'd like it for free, and then you're good to go. And all the posts are there. Like that. It's a Substack blog. Adam says, if we pick up a quarterback, we will have to carry 3. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's how it works, because we're not getting rid of Cade Klubnik. No matter how disappointing his last game was, he's going to be on the roster. So I would say you got to think about whether you want to carry 3 or 2. There's pluses and minuses to both. The pluses are you have extra depth in case anything happens to Geno, and you don't want Cade to go in there just yet. The minuses are you have 1 fewer roster spot. Remember, there's 5 inactives on game day. So your third quarterback is an emergency quarterback. He'll be one of the inactives. That leaves you only 4 other slots. And if you start having little minor injuries where guys have to miss 1 or 2 weeks, that's where you stash them, is on the inactive list, because the NFL's too stupid to have a 1-game disabled list. But that's another story. So you stash them on the inactive. So if those start piling up, then you could be short because you're keeping that third quarterback. And that's actually where some of these teams like the Steelers, the Eagles, that are saying they're going to carry 4 quarterbacks, that's where they're going to fall short. Now, for us, it's not as much of a problem. We're not going to the Super Bowl. We're hoping that if everything goes right, we could maybe contend for the playoffs. Maybe, if everything goes right. So it's not so much a big deal for us if one of our guys needs to go on a 4-game disabled list rather than, being stashed on it. It's not that big of a deal. But for these other teams that are really playoff contenders and think they're hot stuff, that could mean a loss or two, and that could mean they don't make the playoffs, and that could mean very bad things for them. The other big news of the day, it does pertain to the Jets in a certain way. The Colts receiver, the veteran Keenan Allen, was arrested this morning for DUI in downtown Indianapolis. He got a little liquored up, apparently, allegedly. Got in a vehicle, drove around. Not good. Not good, Keenan Allen. Not good. So it seems like for that, he's going to get some sort of a suspension, and that could result, maybe, in a extra loss or two for the Colts. And that benefits the Jets because we have their first-round pick. So you never want anything bad to happen to anyone, but this is the way the world is, and you really should not drink and drive. That is very, very, very bad, especially in a world of Uber and Lyft, and even, I don't know if you guys have seen these robo-taxis yet where you live, but there's driverless taxis now that actually work, that are actually good. They got them here in Florida. I don't know where you live, but robo-taxis, cyber cabs, and then they got Waymos. These are driverless taxis. It's a wonderful, wacky, wild world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. And they got these things, and so still we have people getting liquored up and getting behind the wheel for some reason. No bueno. No bueno. Don't do it. Call an Uber. Not worth it. Then you get an Uber the next morning to go pick up your car wherever it is. No problem. Especially for these guys, they got tons of money. Crazy. But he's probably going to get suspended, though, now, I would think. Well, of course your wife can be a figment of your imagination, Jeremy. What do you think? Your imagination doesn't have any other people in it? How do you know your wife is real? You really think anybody would marry you? What? That's kind of crazy. That is, that is part of your imagination. Think anybody would put up with old Jeremy in the house? Get out of here. Oh, Hefe says, yeah, so I guess you enjoyed the, we are the world. We are the children. My God. Get that guy out of here. Rover bet. Musgrave would turn Will Levis into Brett Favre. Well, I don't know about that, but certainly we do have some quarterback people now that are at least respectable. So we don't know what they could turn people into, but Will Levis would be a nice flyer to take, I think. He has the tools. If they let him go, I mean, if it's just money and just a waiver claim, why not? Why not? He has experience. He has, he's not a completely unknown, factor. He has played. He's not just some guy who's never played. And so, it would be a flyer that you take, and you hope it works out. That's what it would be. So I'll have to see. So Phil Adams talking about Josh Allen. Josh Allen said he wants more grass because when he slides on the turf, he gets rug burn. He doesn't like it. Waymos all over Arizona. Yeah, Waymos and robo-taxis and cyber cabs. It's amazing. I've seen video. I'm not sure if I'm ready to get in one of them yet. They have them in here in Central Florida. They have them in Miami. They have them a lot of places. There's something here in Florida, too, where within the next 2 to 3 years, you may be able to take a sort of like a modified miniature helicopter for short distance. Like if you go to the airport, it may have these air taxis. That'd be pretty wild. That's Jetsonian stuff right there. So, yeah. It's a wild, wild world. B. Travis here. He says Francois. So B. Trav wants to talk French. Hola, mon ami. Jeremy says, I'm really a single guy living off Social Security in a home somewhere in New Mexico. Yeah, you could be. You could be having delusions. You could be on a drug-infested, road trip with Hunter S. Thompson. Nobody knows. Nobody really knows what's real. Can you tell I just finished playing Alan Wake 2? By the way, if you're into video games and you're looking for a masterpiece, play Alan Wake 2. My goodness. That is a masterpiece of a video game. Whoa. That'll make you question reality. So, veteran Jets fan is here, and he says, between Frank Reich and Bill Musgrave, that combo has over 7 decades combined of NFL quarterback playing and coaching experience. Big contrast from Charles London and Tanner Enstrand. Absolutely. So Jeremy says it's pretty intense to walk up to a corner in San Francisco and see cars at the light with nobody in it. Yeah. Wild, right? But they're like the safest, apparently, according to the data, they're like the safest things possible. Gator McCluskey says, what do you think of Adrian Martinez as a number 2? No. Adrian Martinez doesn't really give you anything. What good does Adrian Martinez do? He doesn't really give you the quality of an Andy Dalton veteran type who knows what they're doing, can run an offense for you, and he doesn't give you the upside of people like Will Levis, Sam Howell, J.J. McCarthy, who aren't good right now today, but maybe could get there. Adrian Martinez is a guy who runs around a lot. That's not what we're looking for. So for the Jet Wires, nothing happening for the Jets. All right, so that's all the news. As we've mentioned, we do have a system called the Frankie Betts system, and you get that if you join down below, join the inner circle. And one of the things we're doing in that system is keeping track of the college kids, because no matter what happens this year, we're almost certainly going to want to take a look at some of these college kids. So in order to bet, we're keeping track of the NFL guys at the quarterback position. That's going to give us our edge. But then for the draft and for the Jets, we're keeping our eyes using the Frankie scouting system. You got to brand these things. We're keeping our eye on some of the college kids. And the college season, for those who don't know, has already started. And we had 2 significant players play yesterday, 2 quarterbacks. So here's what happened yesterday. So these are the players that we're keeping track of. There's 18 of them. Let me know if there's anybody I'm missing, including, and especially probably Jeremy is the only one who keeps tabs on this fairly closely. But I got Jaden Craig, Jaden Maeva, Arch Manning, Dante Moore, Drew Mestamaker, Lenora Sellers, Darian Mensa, Trinidad Chambliss, Sam Levitt, Julian Sayin, CJ Carr, Josh Hoover, Gunnar Stockton, John Mateer, Marcel Reed, Kevin Jennings, Rocco Becht, that's Anthony's son, and Nico Iamalievia. That's 18 kids that we're keeping track of in the Frankie scouting system. Now, 2 of these people played, and let me know, Jeremy, if I'm missing anyone. 2 of these people played yesterday. One played great, one played terrible. So Jaden Craig, for example, he got a negative 7.25. That's not so good. That's like a D minus, I think. And only had an on-target rate of 76%, which isn't great. And Jaden Maeva, you see here, had a 90% on-target rate. Now, the interesting thing is that Jaden Craig is a transfer from Harvard, and they played their first game, and he played against the Dark Hoodie, UNC Billy Belly. And he played poorly. And so now this is a guy who is making a jump from the Ivy League to Big 12 play. And in his first game, no bueno. Now, it doesn't mean this is going to continue the whole year, and maybe he'll improve. We'll keep an eye on him. But from what I saw, the mentals were lacking, and that is not good. When you're somebody from Harvard, you can't be making mental mistakes. And he had a lot of other problems. But for the most part, it was mental. So we'll see how he goes along. Might be an improvement curve for him during the year. So we'll keep an eye on it. But as of right now, if the season were to magically end today and you said, well, is Jaden Craig on the Jets' radar? The answer is no, as of right now, today, because of what we've seen. But we'll scout, we'll probably scout, 10, 12, 15 games. No, not that many, but some number of games. And then we'll have a better idea of whether or not he's going to be one of the ones that we're looking at. Now, so far, Jaden Maeva is the complete opposite. He put up a plus 6.25, which is very good. It's like a B plus, I think. And then 90% on target rate. Now, a lot of his passes were very short dink and dunk types, but he did very well. Very accurate, had a nice game. Now, the competition level was low, so it was expected, but he did what was expected, and that's a good starting point for the season. We'll have to see how. Now, Maeva is the opposite, where, all right, he started off well. He played against San Jose State. That's very low competition. So you expect him to dominate that game, and he did. All right, so you check that box. That's good. And then we'll have to see how he does against better competition. But so far, so good for Jaden Maeva. So far, no good for Jaden Craig. There's too many Jadens and Jalen's, by the way. It just in football, there's all these Jadens and Jalen's and But anyway, so we're going to keep track of this. The whole point is we're going to keep track of this. We're not going to put any bets on college. That's a bit much. But we are going to work on the NFL. And for college is mostly just for drafting and being the unpaid Jets scout, at least as far as the quarterbacks are concerned. We're going to know how these guys do for the whole season. So in case you missed it, that's where we are in terms of the college season. There were a few other games, but those were the quarterbacks of note. As far as college is concerned, for week 0, they call it. Then next week starts week 1, and away we go. Here goes the season. So there'll be lots to keep track of. Jeremy says, looks complete. I'm hearing some hype on the quarterback from NC State. Yeah, so NC State, his name is, shoot, I forgot. Yeah, I think he put up a good game against bad competition yesterday. CJ something, or there's so many of these guys. Yeah, might have to look at him. All right, I'll put a little note in here. Take a look at NC State. That's the thing. Some guys are going to pop up during the season that you didn't expect, and then some guys are going to fall away. Like if Jaden Craig keeps playing like he did yesterday, obviously he goes away. And then in terms of how we're going to, how much of him we're going to watch. And then other people might pop up, the kid from NC State or someplace, somebody. Now, if the NC State kid is a freshman or a sophomore, straight sophomore, I'm not watching him. I'm only watching draft-eligible players, scouting them, that is. I might watch the game, but. So if he's a sophomore, straight sophomore, not a red shirt, then I'm not going to watch him. There's too many of these fuckers. It's hard to keep track of all these people. He played Virginia. Oh, yeah. Snoopy says so that's not terrible competition. Virginia, I don't know how good Virginia is supposed to be this year. Yeah, so I'll have to check that one out. Playing Virginia. That's not some no-name team. It's not like, not like you're playing Samson or something. All right, I'll check him out. Vet Jets fan, how many are seniors? Not many. But that's a good idea. I should probably put in their class, where they are in terms of their matriculation. That's a good idea, veteran Jets fan. I'm going to do that right now. But my whole thing is like, I only really want to look at, no, that's not what I want to do. I only want to look at draft eligibles because regardless of where they are, if they have a really great season, they'll come out probably, though you can't guarantee it. I'll just put class. All right. Yeah, I'll add that in there. I think, and plus, these days you can also become a graduate student, so there's a lot of rules. But yeah, it's a good idea to put the class in there, so that's a good idea. So I'll put that in there. Let me know if there's any other improvements you'd like to see. And of course, members of the Inner Circle get access to this. So that's one of the benefits, as this is an ongoing, scouting system for both college and professional quarterbacks. If you're an Inner Circle member, you get access to it. And isn't that a beautiful thing? So a couple bucks a month gets you that. All right, so some breaking news. Adam Schefter is saying 49ers tight end George Kittle. Hey, diddle diddle. He's open in the middle. Just throw it to George Kittle. Is expected to practice this week as he continues his efforts to play in the opener in Australia against the Crams. Kittle hasn't had any setbacks in his return from a torn Achilles and still has a legit chance to play the opener per sources. All right, the veterans are the veterans. The Steelers are releasing veteran defensive lineman Dean Lowry per source. That's going on right now. Nothing on the Jets, though. The Dolphins continue to do weird things. This is gonna be the wildest season. The Dolphins are waiving quarterback Mark Gronowski, but will bring him back to the practice squad if he clears waivers, which he should. That leaves Malik Willis as the only quarterback on the roster as of now. Well, whatever the Dolphins are doing, I'm sure it makes sense in their minds. We'll see how it all plays out. But one thing I do know about the Dolphins, they're probably going to be the worst team in the NFL this year. And so, therefore, the Jets need 2 wins against the Finns this year. Obviously, they're going to be better, next year and the next year. So, this is the year. You got to get 2. You got to get me 2, right? I got to get 2 wins against the Dolphins. Double wins versus Dolphins. Oh, where's my, I don't even have my dock up. Hang on a second. I don't even have my live control panel up. How's that? Okay, there it goes. Well, this is the year. They're clearly rebuilding. They're doing all sorts of roster gymnastics. Who knows what they're doing? You'd have to be somebody like TD Finstock or one of those guys to know what the hell the Dolphins are doing. Outsiders aren't going to know. But I'm sure it makes sense to Dolphins insiders, But whatever it is, it doesn't matter because this year they're going to stink. And so we got to pounce. Especially because the Bills and the Patriots are going to have very strong teams. If we can steal 1 win out of that group there, that'd be nice. So then we got to get 2. We got to get 2 with Miami. That's all I'm saying. Miami is weird. They're releasing decent players. They're going with all youngsters, which is great, except the youngsters usually make a lot of mistakes. And we'll see how J-Rod does. He seems to be very smart, but and there are other kids that they got, but this is the year to beat them twice, 2 times. I need a 2-timer. I need a double down. I need a Dolphin double down. That's what we need. The Dolphin double down. That's what we got to have. These people are clearly tanking, well, rebuilding. They came out and said wins are not important this year. I mean, they came out and verbalized this. The other big story, and I don't know if you guys are following it, but if you're not, you should go on X and follow me because I've been retweeting about it and talking about it. This Kyle Shanahan story, whatever happened with this car accident, there's something shady going on. What the shady thing is, I don't know, but something weird happened on that day when he smacked into another car. What it is, we're not sure, but there's a lot of suspicious things that have happened and didn't happen, and delays and wrong entries by the police. There's very, very strange goings on. There's something going on. The Bills have waived wide receiver Jamori Macklin. Never heard of him. Well, hopefully the lack of Jet news means they're getting lots and lots of calls on their players. I kind of doubt it, but hopefully this lack of news, which, has been, I thought we'd get some more drips and drabs this morning, but we really haven't. It's already 11 o'clock in the morning, which is, Jets, all the teams get to the facilities early in the morning. They're not slacking. And you'd think that some of the more obvious roster cut candidates would have gotten the news by now, and therefore then it reaches the reporters. But nothing so far. Mougey's floating in the pool with Artie, waiting to make it. He's not floating in no pool. He's making calls. Any chance a certain former beat reporter was in the lap as the car well, I don't think she was in San Francisco. And she was not a beat reporter. Well, she's a former beat reporter from back in the day, I guess. But she was a national reporter for The Athletic. I actually think, what if she was sexting him? That could be. What if Dirty Diana Rossini was sexting with Kyle Banana Hands? And he was taking a look at the merchandise. What about that? And that's the thing they're trying to hide. He was taking a look at the merchandise. One of the weirdest things about that story is he had all these injuries. He had a fractured rib. He almost lost an eye. He had very serious injuries, other injuries. But at the same time, he waited until his wife arrived on the scene before he went to the hospital. How's that even possible? He's bleeding. He's got broken things. His face is all mangled. And he goes, hold on. Hold on, Mr. Ambulance. My wife's got to come. Hang on. What is he waiting for the wife for? Get in the ambulance, dum-dum. So that's weird. Like, what would go on that would make you go, wait, I'm bleeding. I got my bones are broken. My face is all messed up. I'm in pain. But I got to wait for my wife to show up before I get an ambulance to go to the hospital. Hang on. What? Nobody does that. Something funny is going on. What it is, we don't know. The police are withholding information. The 49ers are being squirrely. The Shanahan story has changed multiple times. The man had a concussion. Concussions are serious, by the way. You don't want to sit there and go, oh, he's got a concussion. He's bleeding. His face is mangled. He's got a broken bone. Okay, let's wait till the wife gets here. Hang on. What? Hang on. What? This makes no sense. Something fishy was going on. What it is, we don't know. But it sure is intriguing to think about why they're hiding all of this. What must have been happening? Boy, imagine he went through all that and got into a car accident, had all those injuries because he wanted to take a look at Dirty Diana's merchandise. That would be incredibly, shall we say, stupid. All right. So the other thing I wanted to take a look at is I wanted to maybe take a look at the win-loss over-unders. Win-loss over-unders. Let me know if you guys want to take a look at win-loss over-unders for the entire league. You know, the Jets are priced at 5.5 wins over-under. It's generally, no matter what sports book you're looking at, they all think it's 5.5. And the Dolphins are 4.5. I'd be probably betting the under. And even at a 4.5, which is pretty low. But a 5.5 for the Jets, I would be inclined to bet the over, of course. I think people are they don't believe in Geno. They don't believe in AG. They don't believe in the roster we built. I think the roster, if Geno can be Seattle Geno, which I see no reason why he can't be, then certainly we're going to go over 5.5 wins. And let me show you what we built over here. The Frankie Bet system, by the way, you get access to this if you're a member of the Inner Circle. So for the win-loss, you can see here that there's certain bets that seem like good bets. Even AI tells us bet the under on Miami, bet the under on New England. I don't know if that should be the case. They're at 9.5 wins. They're going to win 9 or 8 games. Well, I don't know. Bengals are saying bet the over on 9.5 wins. That's probably true. So look at the Steelers. Can you guys see this? Let me know if you can see the screen. But they have so the Steelers are the Steelers are at 7.5 wins, and they're saying bet the under. Jake says New England has a rough schedule. Well, they're certainly going to have a rougher schedule than they did last year. So let's take a look at New England. So this is the total dashboard of everybody, and then there's a tab for every single team. And this says FanDuel hung a 9.5 because the 2026 slate is brutally harder. So you're right, Jake. This is the narrative up here. It says FanDuel put it at 9.5 because the slate is brutally harder and the over is already juiced to negative 1.5. The strongest over conviction in the AFC East. That juice is the tell. The public is buying the dynasty. Public is buying the dynasty reboot. So that means people really, really like the Patriots to become, to continue being really good. May is real, and A.J. Brown plus Romeo Dobbs is a legitimate weapons upgrade. True. This is Grok telling me, we are fading the number anyway. Super Bowl hangover plus a schedule that includes Seattle, Kansas City, Detroit, Green Bay, Jacksonville, and both Los Angeles clubs is a 9-win profile, not 11. Getting a plus 125 on the under of a 9.5 that the public is hammering is the side. Interesting. If Jets are under 5.5 in the season, winning tons of money won't make me feel any better. Well, the Jets are going to do whatever they do, but shouldn't you try to win money anyway? JoJo says, I took the over on 5.5. This should be a 7-9 win. Yeah, I'm going to put money on the over for sure. But the question, because it's definitely a 6-win team. I mean, even if they only win 6, JoJo, you still win, right? I mean, 6 Geno's got to be Seattle Geno. I see no reason why he can't be Seattle Geno, if not better. But, well, it makes me, when you see all of this, minus free wins against us, and when you see all of this betting momentum, it does give you pause, which is why I wanted to build this out, because in my mind, it seems like we should be way better than 6 wins. We should be in the 8-9 win range in my mind. But then again, a lot of sharp bettors are saying no. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think Vrabel's a genius at anything, veteran. That's his reputation, though. So one of the things that is interesting is reputation versus reality. I don't really think Vrabel's a genius at anything personally. I think he's a good, solid coach, but people think he's a genius, and so that gets priced in, which is interesting because you got to try and find those places where the public is actually wrong, which is why we have the Frankie scouting system. But if we look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, this is telling me bet the under at 9.5. Denver Broncos bet the under at 9.5. Kansas City Chiefs bet the over on 10.5 with Mahomes coming off of an injury where he's not going to be able to move like he used to, you would think. And moving was a big part of his game. But still, it thinks a good bet is over on 10.5 with the Chiefs. I don't know. Giants over on 7.5. See, there's your opportunity right there. Because people think Jackson Dart is better than he is, and Harbaugh has a great reputation, even though I don't think it's warranted. Then you have over 10.5 with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. I don't know. They lost A.J. Brown. That's a huge loss. Yeah. Vrabel is. I've watched all of his games. Okay. Yeah, I would strongly disagree agree with that. I remember that Belichick game you're thinking of. Everybody, he had some obscure rule that he figured out, and Belichick was embarrassed. I remember that. But that was one game. So we have the Saints over 7.5. The Bucks over on 8.5. Man, that is an interesting one. They have Baker, but they also have Todd Bowles. Bowles, one of the worst coaches. And then you have Baker, but they lost Mike Evans. And boy, that's probably one I would pass on, I guess. And then they're saying the Chicago Bears are under 9.5. Now, that's an interesting one because the reason for the Bears being an under at 9.5 is that they won a lot of close games last year, 1, 2, 3 points. And so it's the natural regression. Like they're going to regress. They're not going to win that many 1 and 2 point games. So that would be interesting if they only win 8 games, let's say, because they were so celebrated last year. And it would be interesting to see why they're losing. Does Caleb take another step in terms of his consistency, or does he regress or stay the same? That's an interesting team. The Lions over at 10.5. That's an interesting one, too, because if they're that good, then we're not beating them in week 3. Bet the over on Minnesota with 8.5. Minnesota at 8.5. Man, they could be a 7, 8, or 9 win team, but they probably can't be a 10 win team. That's an interesting one. Jake says, I actually like the Bears over 8.5. Well, the Bears are at 9.5. This has a projection. This column here, it's called FB projection. I don't know where it got this. But FanDuel over under is 9.5. And it's telling me to bet the under. Now, the thing about the Bears is everybody likes Ben Johnson, of course. He's a genius. But Caleb Williams wasn't as good as people think. He had a lot of highlight plays, but he was not as consistent as he needs to be, generally speaking. And that's why we have the Frankie scouting system. And then we have the fact that they won a lot of 1 and 2 and 3-point games last year. And generally speaking, when you get that going on, that's mostly luck, and that regresses the next year. So they won 11 games last year with a lot of 1 and 2-point wins and so forth and so on. So they really got a lot of luck. So that's why they're telling me to bet under the 9.5 total. And I could see it. There's a combination of things going on here. Caleb Williams, if Caleb Williams gets better, which he certainly could, then they could very easily go over this. So I think the bet you have to make is Caleb Williams on a down-to-down, play-by-play basis going to be better this year than he was last year? Last year it was a lot of bad, but then in the fourth quarter he would do a lot of heroics, running around with like a chicken with his head cut off, and he would make heroic throws and incredible passes, and there was a lot of luck involved, and it was a lot of fourth quarter heroics. Is that going to continue? Because if he doesn't do the heroics, then he just becomes a bad quarterback, because there was a lot of inaccuracy issues, specifically down the field. And so, it really depends. Ben Johnson is Ben Johnson. I mean, Caleb has the best situation he could possibly ever ask for. He has all the weapons you need. He has a good O-line, and he has Ben Johnson. So it's really a matter of, if Caleb stays the same, they're probably going under. If Caleb gets worse, obviously they're going under. And if he gets better, then they could go over, and he would be elite, and then they would be Super Bowl contenders. So it's really about Caleb. Ben Johnson's Ben Johnson, but it's really, can Caleb get better on a play-by-play, down-to-down basis? And I think that's a gigantic mystery. He has the ability to do so, but will he actually do so? I don't know. And so for me, I'd probably stay away from that bet. I just don't know if he can improve. I mean, he can. I just don't know if he will. I wouldn't be confident that he will, but the kid is so talented. He certainly could. I'd probably stay away from that bet. I don't feel comfortable. I feel comfortable in knowing how he played last year, but then you have to project that into the next year and say, especially for these young kids, is it going to go up and to the right? And I just don't know that. He has all the circumstances around him for it to get better. But will he? I don't know. Jake. I'm thinking, yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, Burden and Loveland, exactly. So Burden's going to get more of a role, and then you have Loveland, who's already great, and so he's just going to continue. They did lose DJ Moore, veteran receiver type, and then you have Roma Dunze also. So I mean, he has all the weapons and he has all the infrastructure he possibly needs. So I don't know. We'll probably do a video for the members, like Jake here, uh, on probably the win loss bets to make or that we're going to make, and we'll see how it works out. This is the first year of the system, so we'll have to see how it works. And we'll see how it goes. All right, some NFL news. The Panthers are releasing quarterback Kyle Trask. So he's available. I don't think that's much for the Jets. Jaguars are waving wide receiver Trevor Payne. All right. So as I speculated, Will Parkinson is now confirming that the Jets should be interested in Tyrell Dodson. So he's saying, wonder if that's a possible ad for the Jets for depth at interior linebacker. He's got familiarity with Slowick and Duker. I forgot about Duker. And so, that just confirms, if Will Parkinson's saying it, that confirms my suspicion that, yeah, that's a guy maybe we should target. But up to this point, Mougey has been quiet. So let's see what he does for the rest of the day. Relatively quiet at the moment. Phil Adams, any plans for a Tuesday waiver wire show? I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. And if we pick up people like we picked up last year, no. I mean, we picked up some very minor people last year, if you remember. Asa Pole and Cam Jones and Jelani Woods, actually. Woods wound up being a good pickup, even though he didn't do much last year. Now it looks like he's in position to have a role this year. So we'll see. If the pickups are significant enough, I'll do a show. If not, then not. Otherwise, we'll be doing videos for the members as we have data on some of these college quarterbacks and stuff like that. Plus, I'll probably do a video on my win total bet wagers. How much do I really want to wager on some of these win totals? Some of the ones maybe, I don't feel strongly about, but you just put 1 unit or 2 units on the bet, and that's not a big deal. And we'll have to also see what kind of price we can get at Kalshi, which is where I want to put my bets. And so, depending on how they have it, something I don't feel that strongly about, I may want to put down some units just because the price is so good. So we'll have to So what we want to do is take this big board that I had Grok create this morning, 5 minutes ago, and see what that says, and then see what kind of price we can get. If we can get a good price for the Dolphins under 4.5 wins, I might want to put, even though I think that the Patriots are going to have more than 9.5 wins because mostly of Drake May and A.J. Brown, if we get a good price for that, I may want to put a unit or two. So I think what I'm going to do is put side by side the recommendations of AI based on all the information it takes on, and then the information that I have and what I think. For example, it'll be interesting to me, this Jet season. So AI is telling me to pass on the Jets at 5.5. It doesn't feel strongly either way. So it thinks it's priced correctly, which means we're going to win 6-ish. But I feel like we're going to win more. And this is the first season we're really looking at these things in the way bettors look at them. With our system of scouting the quarterbacks, which is the most important part of football, American football betting. And so it'll be interesting to see what the result is. Maybe I'm just out of my mind. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But this year will be the year where we test out our theories, see how they play, and we'll take it from there. But as we go along, the members will get more videos. There's not going to be regular old videos to come out, of course. So that's mostly what's going to happen. Also, if you are a member, make sure you watch the tab, the posts tab. There's a lot of things getting posted, multiple things per day usually. So make sure you're checking those and put the notifications on so that way you get a little email that says, hey, Frankie just posted something up there. And otherwise, I would say, Frankie from flatbush.substack.com is the other thing. And really following me on X be good things to do. Jake says, I think the Jets do go over, but if I bet, they always fail me. I'm not touching them because I love them. Well, yeah, that's another thing to think about. But for me, I pretty much have to bet into them because I did so much work on goddamn Geno Smith. Like I did so much work on Geno, scouting work, and I feel so strongly about it that if he fails, that's what's going to make me depressed. I'm going to be like, I watched all these freaking fucking games. I have my system. I did all my work. I came to the conclusions I came to. And if he stinks, I'm going to be like, what the fuck am I doing? So it really comes down to that, because the other key contention of my system is that the quarterback really drives everything in American football. For the most part, there's other things that are important. Coaching has a little bit to do, and then, how good's your defense and all this, but it's mostly the quarterback. A big, huge percentage of what happens is the quarterback. And so that's why we scout the quarterbacks, to know about them. And that's the idea here, is that if I know more about the quarterback than the general public does, plus taking into account some of the other team aspects, how the team's looking, all the acquisitions they made, is the coaching good, bad, indifferent, in the middle? Those are like minor concerns. The major concern is really the quarterback. And this is what we've seen. And I think this came to me because this is what we've seen with the Jets the last 15 years. We just haven't been able to nail the quarterback in any way, shape, or form. And that has really determined our fate. Now, you got to get the quarterback and give him weapons and coaching and offensive line and everything. We all understand that. But you got to have somebody who knows what the hell they're doing out there. So that's what got me thinking, well, if you could really scout all the quarterbacks, you would actually know who's good. Like, how good is Marcus Mariota, for example? How good is Tyler Shuck? Is he elite? Is he run of the mill? Is he bottom of the league? Where's Tyler Shuck slot in, for example? Then you will know, because a lot of times the reputation of the quarterback does not match the actual performance of the quarterback. For example, people still think that Patrick Mahomes is elite. Well, Patrick Mahomes had 3 elite years to start his career, so that was an elite period for sure. Then he had 2 very good years, and now he's had 3 above average years, or so I think it is. So is he still elite? Well, he's still good, but is he what he was at the beginning of his career? I haven't seen evidence of that. And now he's coming off a major knee injury. So knowing all of that should, in theory, give you an advantage if you want to bet into these games. So that's what the theory is here for the Frankie bet system. And we'll see if it proves out to be right or not. Maybe I'll lose all my money. Oh, all right. Well, that's the whole point of having a stake, right? You stake what you can afford. You say, all right, this is my stake. And if it goes to 0, that's it. Game over. No more betting, right? So the worst that could happen is I lose my entire stake, which is probably unusual, I would think. To this point, I haven't been a big bettor, but that's the whole point of a stake. You put up a stake that you can afford, and if you lose the whole thing, you go, all right, well, game over. Crap that out. Tits up. That's the end of that. And that's it. And you wait for next year and you figure out what the hell happened. Lost all my money. But hopefully it proves to be some sort of like 55, God forbid, 60% winner. If you could hit because if you could hit 60%, you'd be the best football bettor in the world, right? I mean, the best these people do is like 52, 53, 54, right? So if you could hit 60, you're the best. You win. You win the whole world. Jake says, I bet us to win the Super Bowl pre-Rodgers because trade because I knew he was coming. 3 plays and Achilles later. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. It's like no matter how good you are, that's why the best guys can only go 54% or whatever it is. Because no matter how much you know, and no matter how good your intel is, you can't win. I mean, 60 is like you're the best in the world because things like this happen. That's completely unpredictable. Injuries are probably the worst aspect of it, but guys clanging the upright on a field goal at the end of the game. So, yeah, I mean that's really where we are. We're trying to be the best in the world. Can we be? Probably not. but that's the goal. And I think 1 year of refinement, and then maybe next year we could hit our goal of 60%, or maybe we should put it at like 55 or 56. But this is a year of trial and error, figuring things out, understanding the odds, and all of the insane amount of data that's out there with regard to this. With regards to the NFL, there's a lot of information, and AI can really do wonders. Now, one of the other benefits I should mention to becoming a member of the Inner Circle, because you may be saying, I'm not that interested in betting. I don't know, Frankie's scouting system's weird. One of the other benefits, you get a little morning brief. How about this? Every morning, you get a little morning brief about the AFC East, what's going on with the Jets, what's going on with our competitors, the Patriots, the Bills, you name it. And some little NFL write-up. Tua Tagovailoa was booed in Miami over here. What's going on with the Dolphins, what's going on with these people, league headlines over here. And every morning you get a little 2-pager. Catch up on the NFL news all in one place. I have the AI go out and bring this back every single morning, and then we send it out to the members. So there's just an additional benefit to becoming an Inner Circle member. Get your little NFL roundup every morning, figure out what's going on. And so just click the join button down below. It's a couple bucks a month. You can afford it. Let's be honest. And let's support old Frankie. Jake says Mahomes definitely overrated at this point. Yeah. And so the question is, can you take advantage of that and make some money? All right, so that'll do it for this Sunday. We'll keep an eye on the waiver wire. We'll keep an eye on the transactions. We'll see what old Mougey and AG are up to. We should get that information in about 6.5 hours or so as information comes in. And if there's anything major, we'll probably do a video on it. But otherwise, we'll see you next weekend. Coffee with Frankie as we continue to scout these college quarterbacks. And I would encourage you to join the Substack, Frankie from Flatbush.substack.com. Join the Inner Circle, clicking the join button down below, and follow me on X at Flatbush Frankie. And I will see you guys